Why awareness is important in education. Public awareness and education are essential to changing social and cultural norms, which perpetuate harmful practices. Training religious and community leaders who are influential in society is also necessary to incorporate them in the process of changing cultural beliefs and practices. What is the purpose of education? Awareness raising is a process that seeks to inform and educate people about a topic or an issue with an intention of influencing their attitudes, behaviors, and beliefs towards to the achievement of a defined purpose or goal. It can mobilize the power of public opinion in support of an issue and thereby influence the political will of decision making. Good day, everyone. I am Anne Michelle Q. Kiskis from BS Ed Social Studies 2, and for today's video, I am going to spread awareness using 4 pillars of education. The pillars have specific objectives to lead people throughout life, education to walk the path of self-knowledge, to develop personality in an integral way, consolidate team spirit, creativity, and respect for differences, to awaken from an early age the awareness that an education based on the 4 pillars of knowledge will form the leaders of the future. The conclusion that closes the work shows that the current evolution of society, opposite the production machine, is demanding the new propositures of the absorption of knowledge, making, coexistence, and social dimension in the age of knowledge. The 4 pillars of education for the 21st century, which brings the merit of helping people committed to the quality pedagogical practice. This author states that expanding knowledge makes it possible to understand the environment in which one lives, encourage curiosity, provoking the conquest of autonomy, and using the critical sense of understanding the reality. The 4 pillars of education should guide the actions of educators to develop learning appropriate to the transformation experience from reality. They also support the holistic formation of the individual, which skills to argue, offer reasoned opinions against arguing the said with logical reasoning and reaching the final judgment. With the help of the 4 pillars of education, which are learning to know, learning to do, learning to live, and learning to be. The 4 pillars are interdependent and form a single learning that directs the human person to the construction of knowledge, skills, the ability to discern, act, and evaluate in a broad and integral way. The first of the pillars of education is learning to know. Given the rapid changes brought about by scientific progress and the new forms of economic and social activity, the emphasis has to be on combining a sufficiently broad general education with the possibility of in-depth work on a selected numbers of subjects, such as general background provides. So, to speak, the passport of lifelong education insofar as it gives people a taste but also lays a foundation for learning throughout the life. Learning to know implies how to learn by developing one's concentration, memory skills, and ability to think. From infancy, young people must learn how to concentrate on objects and on other people. Learning to know, students need to develop a learn skills. Such skills are learning to read with comprehension, listening, observing, asking questions, data gathering, note taking, and assessing, processing, selecting, and using information. To do that, students can become a lifelong learners. Learning to do is another pillar of education. In addition to the learning to do a job or work, the second pillar should more generally entail the acquisition of a complete competence that enables people to deal with a variety of situations, often unforeseeable, and to work teams, a feature to which educational methods do not at present pay enough attention. Learning to do demonstrates that in order to learn to live and work together productively and harmoniously, we must first find peace within ourselves, expand our acceptance and understanding of others, and continually strive towards living that values which enable us to contribute more fully to the development of a peaceful and just society, and an anchor with the context of a lifelong learners and technical and vocational education and training in preparation for the life and the world of work. The third pillars of education is learning to live. Learning to live together is one of the major issues in education today, since the contemporary world is too often a world of violence. Although there has been a conflict throughout the history, new factors are accentuating the risk, particularly the extraordinary one. The capacity of self-destruction humanity has created the source of the 20th century. Therefore, we believe that it is necessary to diverse or devise a form of education which will make it possible to avoid conflicts or resolve them peacefully by promoting learning to live together with others, by developing a spirit of respect from the values of pluralism and the need for mutual understanding and peace. And the last but not the least, for the four pillars of education is learning to be. The learning to be pillar is first used as the title of the 1872 report of the UNESCO of the International Commission of the Development of Education that refers to the role of education in developing the dimensions of the complete person, the physical, intellectual, emotional, and ethical integration of the individual into a complete man, which a broad definition of the fundamental aims of education. Learning to be all-round development of the whole person to fulfill his or her highest potential and to be able to think, decide, and act independently, the source of creativity, innovation, and entrepreneurship. Its aim of development is the complete fulfillment of man in the richness of his personality, the complexity of his forms of expression, and his various commitments as an individual.